um, with like no announcement whatsoever, in the exact same title. So the tweet is probably warranted. But hello, everybody, welcome.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, hello.
Oh yeah, all
Yeah.
everyone at once.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah.
thanks. Great, thanks.
Well, it's a
So
bit of a staggered response.
semantics. So it's been a few days. I don't know how long it's actually been. It's not been a week since I saw the movie, but like, what do you see again? We saw it like on Saturday. We saw it on Saturday, Adam, right? Like, so it's
Yeah.
been about a few days. Thank you for typing in chat Fortnite sex game of who is not in this, who's not
Dude,
actually in
I
the stream.
love that guy. I'm so glad he's here.
So our thoughts have kind of simmered a bit over time, maybe for some of us. I think some of us still hate this movie, want it to die. Some people have softened on it.
Some of us.
Some of
Yeah, I
us.
fucking hate it now. It's been one day.
So I
I
should
listened to
Some
Paper
of us.
Plane for 5 seconds.
I should also mention, sorry, that while my esteemed guest in person Adam Diamondbolt is not actually in person anymore, I have brought him along. He's right next to me. Welcome to the share. Um,
Oh my god.
Mini Adam.
Oh my god, did you fix it?
Fix it. I put you there, mate. What are you on about? What's there to fix? He's right there.
Oh, sorry. I can feel. Yeah, I can feel that it's better now. My bad.
He's right there. Yeah. Unfortunately, the dog is right next to me. She's just having a bit of sleep. So hopefully, no one's gonna say anything like particularly loud and annoying to wake her up. Right? If she wakes up, it's over. So,
Sorry.
so paper,
Yeah,
best behavior,
I did it. What?
best behavior.
What do you mean?
You, you
Don't
know
hate.
what he means.
We all know what
hate.
we all. You have to like the movie now. You have to be nice for the movie now.
Ugh.
It's a
Well-
movie that has actors in it. 10 out of 10.
I think,
Jack,
I
you
think
believe
my
that
thoughts have mellowed out a bit, so
Yeah.
a bit.
Adam, you should
Well-
tweet about this epic stream.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I should. I'm gonna post a picture of Paper Plane.
No.
Thank you.
Wait, do you mean a real
Um,
picture?
Yeah, can you guys believe that? Like, for me, it feels like I saw this like a year ago, and it still has not come out in Australia.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh my
properly.
god, true. That's such a good point.
Like, can you, if like Declan and you weren't like the best?
Yeah.
It's still not out in Japan, I don't think either.
Probably
Yeah.
not.
They have their
Well.
they have their cool little dub of the movie.
The
With
cool,
like how you
they cool dub. Oh yeah. Oh, fair.
Fan dub.
Fan dub.
Well, I'm here to take Owine's place and dub.
Wait, no, we're not talking about Spider-Verse, sorry. Hang on.
We're talking about.
I
You're talking
sort
about.
of psyched myself up and got mixed up and started talking about Spider-Verse's dub rather than Rise of the Beast dub, but even though Rise of the Beast is still getting a
Oz.
dub.
Okay.
Only you.
All right. So how are we gonna start this?
The movie sucks.
Where's that tweet? We need that epic tweet.
You need the.
Hold on. I'm getting there.
Yeah.
Type it more intensely.
I need a funny image. Someone send me a funny image to put. I can't just put Pablo again.
You can and you will. So
Okay.
You
do something, Adam.
That's the only image of Rise of the Beast is this single character poster of Pablo.
No,
No other image.
Adam, I sent you a good picture.
The Wheeljack one, the toy.
Yeah, but I didn't make that, so like I
Oh,
don't want to. I'm not a
true.
thief. Hey, but that one's great. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm tweeting that.
So, all right. So, how are we kicking? I mean, I guess I can start with my thoughts because I wasn't here in the last part.
That's
So
true, actually. Yeah.
okay.
I say wait for a
Um.
couple more people to pop
Yeah,
in
Sure.
after Adam
Yeah.
tweets, though.
the tweet is out.
Yeah.
Tweets out.
Tweets out. Yep.
Tweet
Tweets
drop.
out.
Operation Go 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 Go. Uh,
I'm gonna also reply.
Nothing. Walking. Rearranging.
Rearranging furniture.
Rotib.
Jesus. Thank you for the
There-
follow, Cats
I don't know,
Eat Meow Mixed White
rotting
YouTube.
of the
Hello,
beast.
welcome.
When I went to go see the movie, I was expecting there to be the big standee that every other movie theater has had, like that with the RC and everything.
Mine
But
didn't.
mine didn't either. It had a Barbie one.
Yeah, same.
Good. Good.
They're good. I want to like eat RC.
What?
What the
Okay.
This is a weird beginning.
Russell, I think you're
Thank
good
you for
to
the
start
follow,
with your
Eximus.
thoughts
Welcome.
anyway, because you weren't here last time.
All right.
Yes. So actually, before Russell speaks, sorry to silence the Russell again. Just a bit of a lead in for anyone who's new, watching this ahead of time, or like also afterwards, or just like here now. We had a part one a few days ago. Like it's like right after I saw the movie for my first time. It was second time for Adam. He was right here. In fact, he's here again. Welcome to the stream, Adam. Right here. Hold on.
Yes,
There you
hello.
go.
I know.
Right
I'm
here.
so happy to be back in Canberra. It's so fucking cold.
Yeah, I know, right?
You should
Wait,
put me on the
cold.
chat too.
Yeah, but you aren't here. You can't.
I can be here. You can slide me in and be like, "Oh, Paper Plane's entered the room."
I'll see what I can do. Okay, I'll see what I can do. But basically,
I'll
yeah.
send you the
For me, it was
pictures.
a very raw, like first reaction. Not very raw. I think I was kind of like processing my thoughts and feelings just over some like ramen in a ramen shop right afterwards in the shopping center. It was Adam's second time though, but we all came down and we talked about the movie, talked about it for like an hour and a half, just complained and cried, and then you all had to go to bed. But Russell, poor Russell here, did not get a chance to speak because he had the honor of being asleep. So he's here now. Hello, Russell.
Hello. So I just like just pour out everything from what I remember what you guys were talking about the last time. So I'll just like just like bullet like run through everything. I thought so. I came out of the movie. I enjoyed it. I had a conversation with Paper Plane, who has the magical ability to make you hate anything. So I ended up disliking it. Then the positives and negatives kind of evened out over time. And at this point, I think that the movie I think it's a fine movie. I think it's a an enjoyable movie. But the thing that all is like that's biting is that there's like the movie that like this is, and then there's the movie that I wished was the sequel to Bumblebee, and those two things are
Yeah, yeah.
clashing.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And
Yeah,
Oh
same.
my god. Someone's just
and
entered the room.
so when so like for me, I would have liked the sequel to be like Infiltration or something like that, where you have a slow reintroduction of the Autobots and Decepticons only. I feel uh when I saw that the movie was going to be about the Maximals, Predacons, and Terracons, uh, I have like so I always try to be aware of my knee-jerk reaction to like hate something. So I'm like, well, you got to give it a chance. You got to give it a chance at first because there are things that I like that people would have not and did not give a chance to. I mean, in the realm of Transformers, that's Transformers animated.
Yeah.
People didn't give it a chance, and so it's like I try to go in with an open mind, but not so open that your brain falls out,
Yeah.
um
Um.
but I guess we could start. I guess I won't like keep going. I'll just start like the movie that I wanted versus the movie I didn't like want. I guess that'd be a good discussion point to start with. um so
I entered the room, as you can see. I'm stood up there. I'm very happy to be here.
I'm just
In the
sorry.
Oh my god, Paper Plane's here.
I'm just realizing that
Mm.
this side of my room is like angelic light. Like it's just so bright for like literally no reason. Like
Yeah,
my
because paper plane entered the room.
yeah.
So.
So that's a bit odd. Hopefully the camera will like unfuck itself. But no, keep going, Russell.
Um, I thought I th- I think the Autobots were fine. I have I have I don't really have as much of a problem with Prime's arc. I think that I get that he should know that like it's a weird position for him to take in this movie to start off like that where he's like I distrust humans. Um but at the same time I think at the very least I liked the story that they told as far as that goes. I like that story in and of himself. I liked Mirage. I think Mirage was cool. The Maximals were there. They existed, and um, like the movie is like pretty good, like in the first act, and I actually really like the final act. But the middle act, where it's very Maximal heavy, is like the weakest part, and because it's the connective tissue from the first to the third, it makes the third act weaker in enjoyment. But if they did everything right in the second act and then you got to the third act, I think the third act would have been more enjoyable. I think the third
Yeah.
act suffers from the gray wasteland thing, but I think the actual fight choreography is really good. I think it's on par with like Bumblebee. I think it's just as good. I think it's just that like the backgrounds are not as vibrant and it's not as defined. It looks like it has the same problem that The Last Night has, where it's just kind of like gray, indiscriminate stuff, right? So you don't really have a definition for the background. It has kind of like the
Yeah,
end.
yeah.
Yeah, it has the same
I
problem as like Endgame does.
I
The
would
the the pre- like the
disagree.
Terracons get super drowned out. Like that was kind of
Yeah,
disappointing.
that's true.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would
yeah.
disagree about it being as good as Bumblebee because
Yeah.
what I thought was so
Yeah,
okay. No,
thanks, Rear.
hear me out. What I thought
Thank
was,
you.
and it might be related to the gray arena problem, right? But in Bumblebee, what I really loved is they used their environment super well. Like they were for Bumblebee had like a really scrappy fighting style where he's climbing all over him and like throwing shit. He was like, "Oh shit, I gotta fucking throw everything at this guy." And
Yeah,
it's cool because it made the more like brutal kills in that feel less brutal in a way and more desperate. Like where he throws the chain,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
drop kick. And it's like a brutal fucking kill, but it's more, but like the way that fight goes, it almost feels like a desperation move rather than like a thing. So you still get the insane spectacle of like a wow, fucking rip that guy in half, whoa! But like the way it was executed was really cool, and yeah, and that's what I really liked about Bumblebee, and it just wasn't really here to the same
I,
extent. I can point to
I,
cool things like RC doing the flippy dippies and stuff.
Mhm.
That was really cool, and I liked that they each had their own individual way of moving, but like it just didn't match for me.
To me, I really liked, like to me, I think they did like I agree with like the like using the environment, but I think the actual stuff that they did in lieu of that made up the difference there because like Mirage he had like I thought it was really cool when he was fighting Scourge and he had like the multiple different holograms of himself attacking Scourge. I thought that there's like
That
one
was true.
shot that I thought there's one shot that's like it's still in my brain that I really liked, which is this like zoom in shot where it's like you see like like Cheetor, Rhinox, and Primal like hit their swords like on like in time with like the way the camera was moving. It was like going through them and like you heard like the weapons clang each time. I thought that was like that's like a really cool shot. I think when Bumblebee comes in and he like grabs like Nightbird and then like grabs onto Nightbird. When he grabs onto Nightbird and then he rips the wing off and then stabs Nightbird like, and then like basically rips her apart. I thought that was really cool. I think the difference is made up by the stuff they do. I wish it was a better environment. Like I wish it was like
Yeah.
the jungle or something like that. But yeah.
Yeah, that would have been cool actually. I don't know why they went with something so boring. Like,
I mean, it's
but yeah,
easier
you
to
guys said in the
render.
that probably you guys said something in the last stream, and I really want to say something. It's something about like the scale, right? You're talking
Yeah.
about how like in Rise of the Beast you kind of forget, aside from like Noah. But I think that's what Bumblebee did really well. Is you remember that shot of like Charlie running away while Dropkick
Yeah,
and,
that was
and
so
Bumblebee are
sick.
fighting?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
That
just
was
like everything I've ever wanted in a Transformers movie. So like,
Yeah.
yeah, I was a bit sad they didn't really. You don't really see them interact with anyone outside of
yeah.
um Noah and all that.
Yeah.
And Bumblebee's like trying to fucking keep Dropkick away from the bin that she hops in as well. It's
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
cool. But
Yeah.
without making it
I
like
just want to talk
obvious.
about how much I love Bumblebee. Yeah,
That's the stream
Bumblebee
now.
appreciation.
Bumblebee appreciation
Bumblebee
stream.
appreciation.
We didn't know how
That
good we
movie
had
is
it
like
before.
100 years old.
Yeah. I
That's
guess like Prime's arc, I had very little. Again, it's weird for him to have this arc because like I guess it goes back to like the movie I want versus the movie this is, and like for me, like maybe it's just me being like very rigid in like how I think about the series, but like to me it's like there's a sequence of events, right? The Autobots and Decepticons fight on Earth, then you have like and then you have some like bigger threat that unites them both. Whereas here they
Yeah,
do that before, and it's like it's messing with me, and it's like, and I'm wondering if it's like, is this me just being like rigid in my thinking, or is this me, or is this like something that's an actual problem with having Prime be like this so early? As far as Prime's brutality, I didn't mind Prime's brutality in this. Well, and I think it's more so because they explain it, and I think it's not nearly as vicious as it is in the Bayformers one. It's not as like when Prime kills someone, this if it's like it's kill and done, and like I've never had a problem with Prime killing. I just have a problem with him like shooting someone while they're begging for their life, you
Yes.
know.
yeah, the
But
fucking
No,
rampage or
Optimus,
whatever it
please.
was.
yeah, but like
You
they're in a
betrayed
war.
yourself.
Yeah,
Time to find out.
I yeah, I think Optimus has some like I liked Optimus and Bumblebee in this movie. I like how Optimus felt so like he was like so driven by revenge, at least in like well, he was driven by revenge, but like to avenge Bumblebee. But I liked that, and I liked how like when Scourge ripped off the badge at the beginning, Optimus like rips it back off like this belongs to a friend of mine. I really like that.
That was
um
nice.
He was
That
like
was
yeah,
fucking pissed. He was so angry.
It was a nice moment
yeah,
after he does fucking like brutally like delivers like a Mortal Kombat fatality to like Scourge, just dunks his face
yeah,
into fucking lava, "Arr!" And then like,
yeah.
what he like cuts his arm off and then like decapitates him or something. I don't mind.
No, he like
Let him
he like
murder. Let
pushes
him kill.
he, he
You know?
pushes his face into like a thing that grinds his face, and then I think he like cuts him up.
Yeah, like
But
the right arm comes off, Resident Evil,
yeah,
and
We
then
forgot to
Into
talk about Scourge
lava.
last time. I just
that's right.
remembered.
I was gonna mention this because I was thinking like halfway through last stream that like
yeah,
we've been talking for like an hour. We have not even talked
hmm
about the main villain once.
yeah.
Now
We
I
haven't talked a
feel,
lot about him.
and I knew that that warranted a, like this follow up stream as well in a way, but also just realized myself, hang on, if we talk about this movie so much, we're gonna turn into like Mauler or some shit. Like,
Yeah.
like the problem with Rise of the Beast for like 5 hours.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I didn't like the
Uh,
women in it.
yeah. I thought it
I
was way
see.
too woke.
Um,
I see was too independent.
Yeah.
but yeah, Scourge is basically just Steppenwolf in this movie.
Yeah.
I mean, you know,
Adam
I mean
compared him
the fact that
to sorry, he compared him to Lockdown, which keeping it in the
mm,
TF verse, I think that's more accurate.
Yeah, he looks cool as hell, but he's like generic as
I
fuck.
I saw someone say he's like just a villain who's just evil for the sake of it, like Bowser or something. And I was like, no, he fucking isn't. Like he has Bowser has like his own motivations and shit, but Scourge doesn't. Scourge is just like following orders, and he's like a minion to the big bad, and he's super fucking boring. I didn't like him at all.
well,
Yeah, I
also
was a bit disappointed.
they drop what like at the beginning, like in New York, he has this scene where he's like he got one part of the key and like Unicron's like basically like torturing him, like you
Yeah,
fool, you didn't get there's two parts to it. And
That was
then
kind of hot.
it
and
was.
they drop that like towards the end, and I thought that was gonna like come up at the end, like like maybe Scourge was gonna like sacrifice himself to destroy the bridge or whatever, and there was like an idea that he is like he's just forced because he's been like taken over by Unicron, and that's what he does. He's
That
like
was
kind of
yeah.
assimilates everyone, but
That would have been
uh,
cool or interesting actually, but no. How
yeah,
can we get Optimus Prime to Mortal Kombat decapitate someone then? If
yeah.
he can't murder the bad guy
Yeah.
violently,
Yeah.
just
They
once,
have
Phase.
just once maybe once they won't do that.
HJ Phase in
I,
chat. Scourge has a good design. I wanted to with the figure. I mentioned the series, but up the film, he's nothing character. Don't care anymore. Fair enough. I personally want to get the figure regardless. I just think it looks kind of cool. Like he's not
Yeah.
lockdown cool. His face doesn't turn into a cannon, right? So like give or take. But like I still think he has a cool design. I mean, yeah, like I want to have like a diorama with him getting his shit kicked in. He's cool enough. He looks pretty
Yeah,
cool. Like comparing to like what's the main villain of? Okay, no, that was Lockdown. No, I was thinking comparing him to like Galvatron from AOE or some shit who just looks like a fucking I don't know. What do you even
you.
call what do you even call what do you even call Galvatron in that movie? I've got no idea. But
He's a fusion reactor with arms and legs.
and like a
Yeah.
fucked up
So
face. You're just like I don't know
That
what do you even
that
compare?
like shot of sorry Dan,
You're right.
the very first time you see Scourge like in the distance in like the forest
Oh,
with
that's
like
cool.
Ape Link, I thought that was fucking badass. Got
that
me
was
really
really cool.
excited.
That was a
And
good
then
shot.
they just yeah, there were a lot of really cool shots in it that stick out to me, like the one of Optimus in the distance at the very end when who was it, Battle Trap or Nightbird were like, oh, they're back, and Prime's just like in the distance. That was cool.
Thanks for
the,
follow Ancient Night
Um,
TV.
yeah, a lot of character like there was a lot of when I think of this movie, there's a lot of good in it, and I think the bad is more so just like it's just mainly like a level of perfunctoriness. Like it's very short. They need to elaborate on a lot of what they were saying because it's just like a one line and it's done. And there was a lot of like just like we're gonna do one line, we're gonna tell the audience, and then it's done. Like Optimus's arc is introduced with Mirage just like quickly saying, "Okay, this is where Optimus is," and obviously that would have been set up earlier with like the transit scene, like that I still think should have been in the movie. I don't know why it wasn't because I mean no, it wasn't because it was too dark. I think that's what the director said, but I wish it was in it because I think it would have really
Yeah.
I think it would have given you a reason to care about like Prime because it's very problem with a lot of these movies is they'll say a lot of stuff but they don't show it, and you can't care if they're just like saying like stuff because it's verbal diarrhea without like any context to like if he's
That's
talking
what I
about
was saying
Cybertron, you
about.
need to see Cybertron.
Yeah,
You know?
that's what I was saying about Air Razor in the last stream. She does this all the goddamn time,
Yeah.
and it like ruins the move. It like corrodes me from the inside out. It's like
yeah, those.
like I
It's
please
fade
Air
from
Razor, stop
existence.
talking.
The
Yeah.
fucking the bit where Noah's like, all right, squad up, and then Optimus Primal goes like, there's absolutely no way we can stop this unless we do this exact thing, and the only way to do it is like right. I was like, what the? Come on, guys! Like, you're not even
I
trying.
literally
I
I
hate in
noticed that
stuff
in the
like
cinema.
this when they're like, "This is the big unstoppable thing," but don't worry, there's an off switch. I hate that shit
How did he know that there was like a way to stop it? He was just he had that
because he
shit
knows
planned out.
everything. He had to know for the plot to happen.
It's
He's
like
from
he
the future.
forgot. It's like he
Hmm,
was like, oh,
forgot.
I give up. Unless it's like
Yeah.
he
Yeah,
remembered.
Yeah.
I
that
want to
was
circle
the
back to
walking
Scourge.
exposit.
Can I
Yeah.
can
Yeah,
I change the subject real quick?
Oh.
No.
Okay.
Because okay, sorry.
then
Go
we'll go
on,
back to
go on,
Scourge.
go on.
Yeah. Right.
I just remembered something like talking about this.
Yeah.
So I think we talked very briefly about Mirage's powers last time.
Mm-hmm.
and how they're a little strange, but it's like
Yeah.
whatever. Um, but I kind of want to know the limits of it. Like, if he wanted, could he like change his outward appearance to look uh like a little RC car, like Wheelie from Revenge of the Fallen, like,
I think
and sneak in
yeah.
that way?
I think if you knocked into Mirage, it would just be like there's like an invisible wall there because that's just where the car is actually. But
Yeah,
you all you see is the bike. So I don't know.
yeah.
I didn't have a problem with Mirage's illusion powers. Mirage turning into the suit, uh, that's a choice. I think it's a, I I I was like I can't like on one hand I like the fact that it ties in the beginning where Mirage was like is now giving him the wheel. I think that's a neat like way to tie that together. But
Yeah.
at the same time, conceptually, I don't know if I like Mirage literally turning into like a mini version like Optimus does in the Fortnite trailer, you know? So
His
it
son.
yeah, like it's a little weird, and I am glad that in the mid credit scene that he was rebuilt because I do like Mirage, and I don't want him to
Yeah.
just be a suit for like in
Um,
these
That's just
movies
the weird thing
I
forever.
do.
about
I
it,
do.
though.
I like
Like,
how Noah gets involved, though. That's
yeah,
yeah.
cool.
I think I said this last week or a few days ago. Sorry, but I'll say it again. Like, I think like in terms of their attempts at trying to get the humans involved directly, this is the best thing they've done for it. Like I think
Yeah, yeah.
the first time was like when they did Cade with the fucking like, oh, I got the gun, hey lockdown, I got a little pistol, pew pew
Mm.
pew, and then you have Cade's Excalibur, where like a
Yeah.
little dinky sword can block a massive giant fucking
I
thing.
mean, I would argue like having Sam deliver the Matrix at the end of Revenge of the Fallen is somewhat getting him involved.
Oh well, true.
Okay,
Yeah,
sure,
but
but I mean like in
I
an
like him
actual
getting
Also,
combat
involved in
way.
fighting.
true. I mean,
Yeah.
there's also the whole latching himself onto Starscream's eye,
Okay,
which
I
that's
is a
too much.
I
choice as
don't
well.
count that. I don't count that.
That's
That's
too
Okay.
much.
yeah.
But
I
I'd also argue Charlie, like, I don't know if they have to get directly involved, but like doing shit on the side, like Charlie having to shut down the thing at the end of Bumblebee is
I just,
like, you know,
yeah, no,
But
I agree there. It's not that it's not been done before, but I like how he gets involved in direct combat. I think
yeah,
that's kind of
same. That
cool.
was cool.
the
I like him and
problem.
Optimus working together.
The problem
It
is
reminds me of
that
Dan's exosuit in the first
oh,
movie. The
not
like
my
the
not me, Dan.
no,
Dan
not yours.
Wiki. Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, the little
But
guy.
like
yeah.
for me, like if you're gonna give an exosuit, okay, but I don't understand how Big Car Man can make himself look like a small car man on a dude because he looks exactly like Mirage, like the little like fucking like
I
like headlight backlight thingies on his like his chest and all that. And I think
Reflective
and a
lights.
and a one's like, well, actually, because he got shot a little bit, blah blah blah, he got shot down. Like, no, I don't
I
think
think
that
it's
that's
just
gonna
like
be enough. I don't think that's a good enough excuse. I
I
mean,
think it's just like you just like kind of have to go with it because
I
it's just
know,
like
but I can only
whatever.
go
But
so
like
far, you know. So just like,
yeah, I it's a choice. It was a choice.
My
I
my suspension of disbelief was not enough for it. I know
I
it's a movie where giant robots transform and stuff, but like there are
yeah.
rules to that, and it's like that is
I
not one of them.
Here's the thing. I think it would have been like I think it would have been better if just like Mirage like tossed him like a thing and that turned into the full suit instead.
yeah, that's
Like
what I thought
Iron
was
Man's
gonna
got.
happen.
Yeah. But I should say I think I have no complaints about the human cast. Um, I think
Yeah,
all
they
of
were so
them.
good this time. I love them.
Yeah, I have no complaints about them. I think they were utilized well. I liked Chris. I liked Noah. I liked their mother. I liked Elena. I liked them all. And they were doing like a thing with Noah and Mirage, but they were also doing a thing with Elena and Air Racer, which I don't think was as successful. But I think that I thought that was a neat thing that they tried to do. Um, uh, yeah, the one thing I will disagree with what you were saying last time was that this is like a Lorenzo movie, and we're saying Lorenzo as a shorthand for like the corporate execs. I don't know
Mm.
how much he's actually involved, but like, I don't agree with that. I think this is I think this is actually like when I see like interviews and stuff, I get the sense that Stephen Cable Jr. actually like really does like care and like really wants to make the best movie possible. And
Mm.
and I think that I would say Transformers 4 and 5 are far more like that type of like, just like very like corporate movie than this was. I think this and Bumblebee, I think the thing with this one is it's a step in the right direction to in many ways, but it's not a big enough step because it's not a big enough step, and that's like what's frustrating. It's like a little baby step, and it's like we're still doing the MacGuffin stuff. We're still doing a lot of these other things that are just like the Bay movie hallmarks. And I think you can tell a Transformers story in a very different way. Um, I think it's like you can do it. I think you can like there's absolutely ways you can just tell a self-contained Transformers story that doesn't rely on any of this. So yeah, that's my frustration with it. It's just like it's too much of the same thing that we've seen before. I think it's the best version of it. It's the most coherent version of it. Of like it's better than the sequels, but I don't think I think it's like right below. It's like below Bumblebee for me, but I think it's I think it's I think this movie does have a lot of like passion put into it. And I guess we got I won't like go on because there's obviously the last thing one of the last things to talk about is the GI Joe thing,
Yes.
but but
It's
I don't know
just
if you have any thoughts about that.
to me,
Oh, I forgot about that.
like going off about the
Did you
Lorenzo
forget?
movie thing, there's so many aspects of this movie that I just feel like obviously the whole human stuff. I'm like, okay, that's Stephen Capel Jr. And there's things in this where I'm like, that's him. But there's aspects of this movie and things that were like added in that I'm just like, this was like no rational person would ever do this.
Yeah.
And like it happened in Age of Extinction the last night, but this one it just felt like there was a little too much of like we know now that the GI Joe thing was Stephen Capel Jr. and that wasn't Lorenzo, but
I hate that man.
it genuinely shocked me so much because I said in my fucking video like that I said that was the one thing that I'm like 100% sure Stephen Capel Jr. didn't do because it's too
Mhm.
dumb and it's
So
no rational person would ever do it.
Well,
so here's
actually.
so here's how I feel about the GI Joe thing. Like a week away from like having seen that, when I saw that, I was like, okay, GI Joe is like it's not as popular as it was like in the 80s
Yeah.
uh and all that. I think that's a little bit of chicken and egg thing because they haven't made cartoons and it's like since like GI Joe Renegades or whatever the last one was. So it's just kind of like a chicken and the egg thing in terms of popularity. And like, why would you make a movie if there's like you haven't built up like enough like people to like,
Yeah.
oh, this is really cool. But I would say that from what they've talked about, because they've now talked about the ending a bit, is that what they want to do in the sequel is, or at least what Capel Jr. has talked about doing in the Capel Jr. has, I don't know why I keep calling Capel. Capel Jr. is wants to do in the sequel is that is to one was talking about like colony worlds and like taking the like plot there, and he was like you would have like you have the Autobots, the Maximals, but you would also have just like some GI Joe characters, not like the full cast, but a few. And like it sounds like to me what they want to do is basically take what was Nest, right, in like the Bay movies, Ghost and Earthspark, that organization, and just make that GI Joe, and I guess equivalently take like whatever was Cemetery Wind and Mech and just make that Cobra, which I don't have as much of a problem with in itself because it's like okay, you're consolidating these two things into each other. I think that makes sense. Because it's not like GI Joe is going to massively change if it's going from Nest to GI Joe
Mm.
because it functions the same thing. It's like the most interesting characters in GI Joe are Cobra, and like the GI Joe people are like they're army people, right? Like they're and you can like just like it wouldn't there wouldn't be a difference if it was Sector 7, you know, I feel.
Yeah.
So yeah,
But
I don't have as much of a problem with that, I guess.
But the Joes don't
Yeah.
have Simmons in them. Where's Simmons in the Joes? He's not going to be
Well,
there.
maybe
Awesome.
maybe Sector 7 turned into G.I. Joe and he's part of that
If
now.
I would honestly like, it would break fucking Lorenzo's shit or whatever. But if they just brought John Turturro in to just play Simmons again, I would just be like, sure, go for it, whatever.
Please
Yeah.
save us. Give us Simmons
Yeah.
back.
I'm back again.
I know you are.
Yeah.
But with the GI Joe thing, I was talking to Toy Guy about this, and he said that I just said I have no interest in GI Joe and I don't really care about it, and he said, well, they could do something to make you care, and
True.
I'm like, I think there's a difference between trying to make me care about something and getting me to actually care about it. And I feel like with this, they're trying to make me care about G.I. Joe, and they will try to make me care about G.I. Joe. And I don't know if they're going to succeed, but like, I just inherently, as a concept, I think G.I. Joe is so fundamentally outdated and flawed. And they would have to change so much to make it like work now. And a wine likes G.I. Joe, and I think Toy Guy likes G.I. Joe, and they're like the only two people in the whole world under the age of
Well-
like 57 that like G.I. Joe. And I'm
Well,
just like, the
Like-
majority of G.I. Joe's fandom are people who grew up with it in the 80s, who are like in their 40s or 80s or whatever. 80s. But
What is there?
the-
Hang on, this is basic.
Hang on a
math.
sec.
What is there
80s.
80s?
But like, I feel like if you changed it, those diehard G.I. Joe fans wouldn't like it, and you would alienate that whole audience. And if it didn't work to get new people involved, like interested in G.I. Joe, then like who would it even be for in the end of the day? At the end of the day, and the only people that care about G.I. Joe, bar a wine, are people in the USA, and internationally, it's not a thing.
Look,
It's a joke
not.
here. It's a joke.
here's the thing, right? I will say that like I think it is. If you were just doing the '80s show, then maybe yeah, it probably is outdated. But I mean, it has gone through changes itself,
Mm.
and as any franchise does, right? And so like I think it's just a matter of it's like to me it's like this. I don't I have no issue with them making it GI Joe, and they're like, okay, we're gonna find a new way to do this, and that's not going to be like tied to your like original version. I don't think they're like you know I don't think they're exclusively
Mm.
American as far as their iconography.
Yeah.
They are. I mean, look, it is an iconic franchise, but it like in at least here, the Community has an entire episode that is animated as a GI Joe parody with
Yeah.
Cobra Commander and all that in it. So it is like a trope, but I guess it'd be like it's thought of, I guess, in the same way I would say as like the A Team is, or like these
Yeah.
like older shows that exist, and it is what it is, and I don't know. I am I think if they don't if all it is just like, hey, we're gonna take some of the human characters and basically instead of like random human, like we're gonna have Noah and then we're gonna have Snake Eyes there as well.
Yeah.
Then okay, maybe you're gonna make it, and then now you can have like you know more like interesting like fight scenes and like characters and stuff alongside in lieu of like what they've done before, because at this point I think with Noah, with Charlie, they've kind of excised the normal human finds transformer
Mhm.
type thing. So this might be a newer direction to take with the human cast.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
I
a good point.
understand
I
that.
feel like they've done it the best they can possibly do it
Mhm.
now.
I get that.
But yeah, I just don't want more like generic army dudes. I just
Mm.
don't care.
But
I'll be
an
honest.
an
I'll be honest
argument I
here.
would make.
I'll be
Sorry, I'll let you
honest.
finish.
I'll be honest. I'd much rather have like Linux 2 than having some fucking ninja guy and have them try to explain to me how fucking Snake Eyes can try and kill Unicron. Little ninja man just versus
It's like having
big.
Black Widow on the Avengers.
Yeah,
You know?
that's
I-
what I
and-
said.
At least she like died, and then she
Yeah,
contributed.
at least she
Okay.
died.
That's such an
Okay.
awful thing to say.
Um,
Jesus.
But,
She
my-
died and
my-
we hooked anything in for them. That's all I'm saying. She contributed.
Yeah. My argument is that I forgot my argument. Never mind.
Um, I can add to this. So I think the difference of making GI Joe and like Sector 7 is like Sector 7 or like Nest or whatever are like human guys that are in the film, you
Mm.
know? And this will make sense when I finish my GI Joe point. But with GI Joe, they're trying to get you to look at something else. They're like this movie is the Transformers and GI Joe, and while they're also trying to make you look at the Transformers, they're also like wink, wink, hint, hint. Look in this direction too, guys. Look over here.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's gonna be really distracting for people who only care about Transformers or GI Joe or vice versa.
What if
Whereas
Yeah.
Sector 7, they're like, they're just the human guys in the movie. They're not trying to sell you on the Sector 7 cinematic universe, you know?
Yeah.
I
Um,
mean, if no one cares about them, I don't know if there's gonna be a difference, right? Like,
Yeah.
you know,
Well,
it-
sorry, I just remembered my point from earlier. Can I say it?
yeah.
Sure.
I think I talked about this like kind of last time, but you were talking about the iconography, and I think I mentioned how like when we were talking about this in private, you mentioned He-Man, and I said that He-Man at least has a legacy, and it is treated like a joke, like GI Joe, but it is found a sort of new audience in gay people.
Well,
What?
Who love Skeletor and He-Man because they look gay as fuck.
well,
And that's
They are
literally
kind of gay as fuck.
no,
Yeah.
okay, my brother
Yeah.
who is
What the
gay
fuck?
and lives in London told me that he goes to like fucking drag bars and shit all the time. And like people talk about He-Man so much when they talk about camp shit. Like He-Man has found a new audience in this generation as being the gayest motherfucker ever, right? He-Man started off as a joke, and it still is a joke, but people are like, yeah, this shit is a gay icon. But like with GI Joe, GI Joe is a joke, and it will remain a joke because people are like, "This is
G.I.
just
Joe,
shit. This
if you
sucks."
will.
What the hell is that? What the hell did you just put on the screen?
okay. So what?
It's the Baroness
he-
from GI Joe.
here's the thing, right? I think a GI Joe movie could work if you have to do it more like satirically and everything.
Yes.
There's a world where that would work. But yeah, I think I've exhausted the point. I think it could work, but
Yeah.
like it's like now with the new now with the new comic, they're kind of doing I think they're gonna do some of the same thing.
It's
Trying to
G.I. Jover.
yeah,
GI
well,
Joe.
but I mean, GI Joe Mama, but like um but yeah, I guess it's a different point is like so I guess to like from the first point I was talking about the movie this is versus the movie I wanted, like the movie like in my head, I guess if I were to change this with a magic wand, and what I would want is like what I would have wanted this movie to be if you kept a lot of the same stuff in it was like you have Optimus and Noah, you have the New York stuff, um but instead of like the Terracons trying to bring in Unicron, it's like you have a Decepticon uh Shockwave, like could like you have Shockwave and the Dinobots maybe
Yeah.
instead, I don't know. And then
Um,
they're trying to bring in the Decepticon army to Earth, and it ends with the Decepticon army here, and that leads into a new series of movies. But
Yeah.
what
I don't
happened
know.
to Adam?
I
No,
Like
nothing.
What?
Adam changed. He's like morphed into a
Oh.
different person.
what the
What? No,
fuck?
no. I see what he means now. Sorry. Right.
Yeah.
No. Oh, yeah. No. I've always looked like that. I took the mask off. That's my
Yeah.
face reveal.
The fact that I couldn't tell the difference if that was Doom or GI Joe is astounding.
It kind of
But
does look like Doom.
Wait,
actually,
that's not Black Adam.
Black
I
Adam
thought that
is
was
gonna
Black
be
Adam.
in GI Joe.
um,
Can I come to the defense of GI Joe a little bit?
Yeah.
Can I be a
Okay.
line in this conversation? Because
No, but go on.
I've like, if Hasbro has going to force me to like endure this franchise, I was like, I'm gonna do it on my own term. I've seen the 1987 movie, and I saw that really edgy like Adult Swim cartoon they did, and like I think it's like conceptually is the exact same idea as Transformers, as like really cool group of like different good guys and bad guys
Mm.
fighting endlessly over some dumb bullshit, and like having like ninjas in there amidst like regular army guys is like such a Transformers concept.
Yeah.
Like yeah, I think it like from that perspective, take away Transformers,
Mm.
like obviously because that's way cooler to me because I like robots, but I think it's like conceptually that same idea that that appeals to me so much, is like all this collect this team of like really cool bad guys and good guys. And like I agree, I think Cobra is like way more interesting and diverse than how many fucking army guys are there in GI Joe, like
Yeah.
all of them.
Yeah.
But I get it, I just don't think it's if you put it next to Transformers, I think Transformers is the same idea but done like a million times cooler,
Yes.
The
Um.
and
I think
that's why it doesn't work.
yeah.
I keep thinking of GI Joe puns.
It's
It's
Like,
yeah, sure.
GI Joe. But like, my thing
GI
is,
Joe Joe's Bizarre
when I was a
Adventure.
kid, I would watch the Transformers movies, and I'd be like as an adult, I love the human scenes in the Transformers movies. I think they're so funny. But like as a kid, I was like, when the fuck is Bumblebee gonna come on the screen and say some cool shit or something? And I didn't feel it in Rise of the Beast because the robots are in it a lot, and I didn't feel it for Bumblebee because I liked Charlie and I cared about her.
Yeah.
But unless they really really make me care about GI Joe, I'm just gonna be sat there like, can we just get back to the Transformers already? And it entirely depends
Yeah.
on how the movie goes. It depends on how they do it. But I just think fundamentally, I'm just gonna be sat there waiting for the Transformers to come back, and I'm gonna be on my phone.
The yeah, I guess like this topic's been exhausted at this point, but yeah.
Yeah.
Um yeah. I do want to. I actually, the other point I had it like I thought about was I actually liked that they killed Bumblebee at the beginning of the
Yeah.
movie. I thought that was a bold choice, in order to bring more attention to the other characters,
Yeah.
particularly Mirage. I think that was a good choice. And I think
Uh,
Good choice, poorly executed.
uh,
I mean, well executed because he killed him, but like, you know,
shut up.
like
well, he was literally well executed.
he was very very well
Shut up.
executed, but
Shut
poor
the fuck up.
execution in terms of story because
Yeah.
it feels really convenient. He just
I
like randomly comes back.
I, I
I have
would
a
like
point
if
about
they
this.
stopped giving him the radio voice. I don't
Yeah,
mind
that
it,
too.
but
I liked it a lot
Yeah,
in this one.
Yeah.
I don't know how I felt about him quoting movies now and not songs.
They
I
can-
mean, they used to go on for his like last Lucid Prime, like quoting Dead
Mm.
Post Society. That was nice. But
I thought
I-
that yeah, this is like the one time I've actually liked it. I don't know why. Like
mm,
even in Bumblebee.
I found the radio voice in this one to be kind of annoying because, like, I
Hmm.
think it was just like his attitude in this movie is very different than he was in like Bumblebee. Because in this movie, he is the heavy. It comes off like he comes off as the Ironhide sort of role, where he's like, he's like, here's like you have Mirage, he's like the scout. You have RC, like that can like go through like was this another scout kind of type of character, and then you have Wheeljack Pablo as like your quote unquote engineer type of character. He doesn't do any sciencing, but and then you have Bumblebee here, and like to me Bumblebee seems like he's the one who's doing like heavy damage. He's doing like a lot of these you know like he feels like he's matured in this movie. And on one hand I'm like, I kind of feel like Bumblebee should be a little bit more like sly and like nimble, like kind of like a Spider-Man more than like a Thor or
yeah.
whatever, like a,
Yeah.
heavy. But I guess it's an evolution from Bumblebee in a sense. um I don't know. I guess the and yeah, I'll just I don't want to keep rambling on and shit, but you know,
Alright.
I have a
I
big
thought
Bumblebee
with the
thing.
whole Bumblebee dying thing, like it just because to me, I know they had Prime be like, "Oh fucking hell, Bumblebee's dead. I'm so sad" or whatever. But to me, it didn't feel like something to like further his arc. It just felt like, to me, and this is me being very cynical, but to me, it felt like they wanted to get Bumblebee out of the way so they could promote their new
Yeah.
kid appeal character Mirage.
And I think the reason
That is
why
true.
it felt like that, because it felt like way for me as well, is because they really didn't give it the attention it deserved. Because like, yeah, they
Yeah,
make they like say, oh, he's dead, but like they could have like done a bit more. Because it's like 2 minutes later, they're like, oh, hello, Air Razor, we're going to Peru now. Okay, let's have our point in the
yeah,
movie where we decided to go to Peru or not. Like just 5 minutes later, like literally, you're a secondary protagonist in the whole franchise. Fuck the humans. Like I'll just prime a Bumblebee. It's like there's two main guys, right? Like you have
Two
like
homies.
yeah, like the two main protagonists of the whole franchise on
yeah,
screen, and you kill off one. Which, by the way, I think it wasn't executed as well because you had it in the fucking marketing, like the whole scene.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not even like complaining about the whole like spot where they actually show him being blasted. Which credit to Mr. Trailer Man, and that was a spoiler in the end. It's like, oh my god, guys, don't watch a spot. You're gonna die if you watch a spot, kind of thing. But no, he was right. It actually
yeah.
was a spoiler. He did literally die there. But like, it's just like, yeah, sure. Like, I'm all for moving in new direction with Mirage. I like Mirage a lot. Just outside of the movie, like I like Mirage. But yeah, it's just like they just didn't like care enough, and
I don't know.
the audience gave a shit more than the movie did. Because Adam, I don't know if you noticed this, maybe you remember, but like when he did get killed, there were some kids like a few rows ahead of us. They're going, does Bumblebee just die? Did you remember hearing that?
Yeah, that was me. Yeah, I did that too.
Someone told me that a kid like walked out because he was crying. 'Cause
Oh my
Bumblebee
god,
died.
that's literally the point. They literally did a fucking 86 here with Optimus Prime, but even
Yeah.
he had an
Except it
actual death
sucked.
scene, and
Yeah,
that's
he
who.
had like a big
Yeah, he had an
drawn out
actual
death
death scene.
scene.
Like, I'm not saying Bumblebee should be dying for 5 minutes before they move on. He shouldn't like this guy.
Yeah.
Big speech. No, I'm not saying that at all. But I am saying that they really just moved on. They just chucked his carcass onto
It felt
I
like they did not
Stratosphere,
care.
and they're just like, okay, rest of the movie going to Peru now. It's like you just had a movie beforehand about this dude. This is like you literally had this introduction to this new
I,
reboot of this character
I'm just
you've
reminded.
now
I'm
killed.
just.
Sorry, go
I'm
on, bro.
just reminded of like I don't know why it occurred to me, but I'm reminded of like one of the deaths of a Thriatary character in Cyberpunk Edge Runners, right? It's well off topic, kind of, but like I feel that had it was in one of the last episodes, and I feel that had more gravity than Bumblebee's death, and that was like a Thriatary character, you know?
I I don't know. I don't know if I agree that I guess it could have been like they could have done more with it, but I feel like they they had a whole scene where like Optimus is in Stratosphere and he's like he's looking at
Yeah, yeah.
Hot.
Bumblebee and shit, right? Like and he's like we can't repair him here, we have to get back to Cybertron to repair him, which further pushes him to like not want to destroy the key like later on, right, and want to and that's like fuels the arc with Noah, where he wants to destroy the key to stop any bad shit from happening. And I feel like and like it's a whole scene where like Stratosphere transforms and he's holding Bumblebee, which I thought was actually pretty cool. Like I thought
Yeah.
that was a cool thing that he did. That was a cool sequence. But no, like I mean, I feel like they were like, and Optimus was like, hey, Optimus Primal, can you like revive him? And he's like, he's too far gone. Like I feel like they really did like, I feel like they did like push in on like Bumblebee's death really affects Prime, and that like, and I don't feel like they move like it is the impetus for why he like decides to go after Scourge when like Noah is in trouble, right? Like he's like, like he like goes off script in that moment. It's like I'm gonna go after Scourge right here, I don't know. I feel like they did a. I think they did a solid job in like making me feel Bumblebee's death, and I don't feel like the movie moved on too quickly. I feel like it could have been. They could have held on to it maybe a bit longer, but I don't know. I feel like they. I feel like they did like quite a few scenes of Optimus being affected by Bumblebee's death, and like everyone, and Optimus is the main character alongside Noah in this movie, right? So I don't know. They could have shown the other characters reacting, I guess, as well. And they didn't show much of that. Like they didn't show like Pablo learning that Bumblebee died or
Who gives
whatever
a fuck about
or something
Pablo
like
though?
Yeah.
that.
Who gives a fuck about Pablo?
You know who didn't? You know who didn't give a shit about Bumblebee? Was like Mirage. Like
Oh
the
yeah.
next scene after he dies, Mirage is like, Optimus, why don't you smile a little bit, man? Like, it's like, dude, his corpse is on the floor, like adjacent to you,
No,
and Mirage is like, yeah, what's going on, man? Like,
Cheer up,
it's like-
bitch.
I don't
yeah, dude,
remember
dude did
that
not give a
happening.
shit. He did
don't know,
not care.
You've seen it twice, so like maybe I just don't remember. I did not remember that happening after the Bumblebee death scene. I thought that happened before,
Mm.
like they were on their way going to.
Oh no,
the
there was a
museum.
scene where they were on the bridge and he was telling Noah like, yeah, Prime is a sad cunt. He's really fucking,
Yeah, it's like,
he's got
oh yeah, he just misses every. Yeah, no, it was yeah, you're right because they had that whole morning. It was the bit after Air Razor and they decided they have to go to Peru, but it smash cuts to like when they were playing I can't remember what rap song it was, but it's when Mirage does the transform like in
Yeah.
daylight and
Yeah.
while they're waiting for Punisher, and God, that scene was so cool. And Noah comes out of the car and just starts walking
Yeah.
out of it. Yeah,
Yeah.
that and Mirage is instantly back to like, oh, it's Prime, lighten up a little bit. Let's see that top lip or whatever. And like Bumblebee's corpse is literally on the floor right next to
No,
them.
I talked
Yeah.
about this as well, but I love my favorite part of this whole movie is how they can't bury Bumblebee's body or get rid of it, so they are literally just carrying his body around everywhere. It's so funny to me.
So there's a question
I
in
thought they
chat.
left it at first. Yeah.
Sorry, there's a question in chat from HJ Fies. On his question, did everyone else think that he's the warp key to bring Bumblebee back instead of returning home? I mean, I don't know how
I
that
don't think that's
works.
how it
Like,
works.
that's not how it's.
No, I,
That's
I
not how it
thought
works.
there was something like that. Like they were gonna like, but when they put him on the thing, and they were
The
like, only a
thing.
big energy could bring him back. I thought Optimus was gonna use the Matrix or something. Um,
If
Oh my
they
god, I forgot
cared.
about that. Oh,
Yeah.
holy shit.
they
That is
put
a
him on
big
these
energy.
rocks, and they were like, if there was some kind of big energy, we could bring him back. And I thought there was gonna be some heroic thing, but no, it's
I
whatever.
don't know if Optimus has the Matrix in this movie. Like,
Well,
I need
yeah,
to I
it's
need
in.
to
I
talk
think
about
it's in the toys, so everyone was just kind of assuming
yeah.
there was gonna be a scene with
Yeah.
it.
I have to
Yeah.
talk about something to do with Bumblebee. Can I
Yeah.
do it, Dan? Can I
Yeah.
go? Can I go?
Oh no. Oh fuck me. Oh my
So
god.
this is a bit roundabout, but I
Everyone
need to talk about it.
chat. Everyone in chat, I apologize.
I need to
Bro,
talk about it.
if this makes you just finally get out of your system, go on. Tell
I
the pop
need to
wells.
do it.
Do
Okay.
it. Alright, go
Okay.
on.
Listen, I have vehicle modes in Transformers. I think they should characterize the
Oh, this.
characters well. Anyway, I in the Bay films, I think Camaro B is like fine. I know it's only a product of like Volkswagen being like, we don't want to be involved in war. We hate war. And this was before their emissions scandal, where they were like, please market us Transformers. Um, and like, yeah, I know that I think he works in those films because Bumblebee's an aggressive weirdo. For a lot of it. Um, but like, yeah, sure. But like, when he turns into the Camaro in Bumblebee, that's like a different guy. That's not that Bumblebee. So when he turns into the Camaro in Bumblebee, which is like this pretty aggressive, like big muscle car thing from like a Beetle, it's like I'm fine with him changing modes, right? But like that mode just does not fit his character in my opinion anymore. Um so yeah, it was a little weird. Anyway, this film decides in a very baffling choice to give him another alt mode, which makes him, I think, the second largest Autobot, which is very strange. Well, if you discount Stratosphere, like to prime scale, he is the second largest, right?
Hmm.
And it's interesting because if you think about the villains from the last movie, Shatter and Dropkick, their vehicle mode is a heavily modified like Plymouth and like a heavily modified AMC Javelin, right?
Hmm.
They're
Sorry, I
off
just
road.
got back. Are we still talking about this?
Yes,
Yes.
we are.
Okay.
And
Um,
Bumblebee's vehicle mode is also a big lifted muscle, heavily modified muscle car. And I just find that really interesting because it's like Bumblebee saw Sharon Dropkick and was like, "Hell yeah, brother, let's go."
So
Which is
I
really
think
strange.
we talked about this the other night, and I said my piece, which was basically, I think that is a valid interpretation of the text, but also I don't care.
I'm also
Uh,
like,
I
also
do.
I will say this, like you're saying he shouldn't be more. Should I be humoring? Okay, if this is like I mean, Bumblebee in this movie is an aggressive guy in this film. Like he is like I mentioned, he's a heavy. So like I
I
feel
mean,
like
I guess
fits.
maybe I just don't like that interpretation of Bumblebee.
I mean, I'm not
But
a fan of it, but you know,
there's
it
every single. It's so weird that every single like evil guy we've seen in this like rebooted version, quote unquote, is like a heavily modified, like aggressive looking road vehicle. It's like Nightbird's like a heavily modified GTR. Um, Battle Trap is like a fucking rat rod swapped, like engine swapped tow truck. Scourge is a massive Mad Max truck. Um, Shatter and Dropkick, they're like ignoring their jet mode and helicopter mode, they're like heavily lifted aggressive, evil muscle cars.
Yeah.
And then Bumblebee is the only other Autobot to follow that design aesthetic, and it's very strange. But there is one more thing I need to talk about. Everyone fucking told me, oh, but he need the off road thing. He need the off road thing so he can off road in Peru. He need to off road in Peru, guys. But they literally never explain how he got this other vehicle mode. He just has it suddenly when he drops from Stratosphere. Two, he never does any off roading in Peru.
He does the bit at the end where he drives on the grass.
Yeah, but RC's a road bike and she does it just fine.
I feel like this is so like minutia level where
Yeah.
I don't it,
I
it gets
just,
the
I
point.
really fucks me.
Us.
Why'd they
I
do it,
think
man?
I think you care because you're a car nerd, but like I
Yeah.
think most people are like, oh yeah, that makes sense. He looks off-roady, you know.
Yeah.
So
There
um,
is off-road Beetles, like a heavily modified subgroup, like a subgroup of fans that like heavily modified Beetles that are like off-road as well, and that just would have been a way better fit if they wanted to go that direction. But like,
Interesting.
I know why they went that direction. They had the Camaro at the end of Bumblebee because they were like, well, we don't know what we want to commit, and that pisses me off. The whole we don't want to commit thing, but like, yeah. There is actually still a backdoor in this movie, which I find interesting to also connect it to Bayverse. I forgot what video I was watching where I saw it, but I'm like, oh my god, they really could do that if they were really, really stupid. Um, but I'm not gonna go into that because it's really convoluted and weird.
Okay.
No, I
Um,
want to hear it. I want to
No,
hear it.
no,
are you
no,
sure?
no.
Okay, it has nothing to do with Bumblebee vehicle modes, right? So, okay, basically, unic time travel.
Oh, okay.
Unicron
Yeah.
is implied to be from the future, right? Where
Oh, we're doing this again.
No,
yeah,
I'm not doing this.
okay. Where I'll keep it as
well,
brief as I can. Unicron is implied to be from the future where the Maximals are from and then they go back or whatever, right? It's really convoluted and weird.
Yeah.
What they can say is that in after the last night they failed to stop Unicron, then Unicron started going around eating things. And then that's when he shows up to Beast Wars planet, right, and eats it, and then they go back in time. So they can say that that is like a future Earth technically, where that happened, and that can be their way out for Bayverse thing. I hope they don't. That'd be really stupid, but like they can do it. Like
You're giving them way
if
too much
they,
credit. They would literally not acknowledge it. They would just pretend that it's like it makes sense the whole time. They do not
yeah.
care.
I think it's time to get into the time travel.
Oh, no.
I don't want to talk about it again. It's pissed me off last time.
I mean, I don't think it's that complicated.
It's not. It's just to Arjun Toy Guy. I think Dan's talking, but we can't hear him. Arjun Toy Guy was talking about.
Dan's muted again.
Hello?
Dan's muted again.
Okay.
There we
Hi.
go.
Alright.
So
Alright,
Arjun, I was talking to Toy Guy, and he was like a very big, oh, they went back in time guy, and I'm like, but that doesn't make sense for all the reasons we've already talked about. And now
the
he's
last
not
one.
sure, and now he's confused because people are
Yeah.
telling me they never went back in time. It was just Airazor being a bitch. So
maybe
I just don't know.
I mean, I think it's good we don't like bring up people who aren't here too much. But
Oh yeah, sorry.
here's the thing, right? I mean, I think they were in the future. They went back in time. They hit on the Maximals hit on Earth. The Scourge went back in time because 3 people is probably easier to send than a giant planet. They Prime kills them. Probably in the future, Unicron is gonna eat the planet and make Scourge again. I think that's it. So yeah.
I don't think they actually care. I just think they wanted the Maximals in the movie, and they don't. They didn't think about it at all.
What I
Well, they
think
are gonna
Like,
what I
Disney
think
World
they were
in the future.
doing, sorry, with the whole time travel thing, is that the original like part of the movie, they had the whole time travel thing of Unicron, because they admit, I think they refer to it sort of in like trails and shit, and leaked plot details and whatever. But I think just after test screenings, they were like, this is stupid and dumb. So the movie like presents it because I didn't even consider any of these fucking stupid like tangible theories that you guys have brought up. Because I just watched the movie and it's like, oh, okay, it just is what it is. Like, it just says that, oh, the Maximals really need to go their own planet, whoop whoop, and then they all travel to Earth and they're for centuries, and then that's what Scourge's been doing the whole time. He's like, I'm gonna look for the planets to destroy the whatever and gets Unicron. And they've been doing that for like hundreds of thousands of years until they come to Earth and then Scourge dies, and that's a whole movie for you. I just thought it was like a linear thing. I think other than like that one line from Air Razor, that one really fucking dumb line from Air Razor, which is like, I'm from your past and the future, blah, 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 blah. It just is just like linear, and that's just that, and I'm honestly fine with it because
But
it's just
then why'd they have that line? Is she just lying?
I
because
think
He's
for the
Obi-Wan
joke.
Kenobi.
It's a joke. It's a joke because
She was fucking with me.
It's a joke
not
they
no
didn't
no no
think about.
not that kind of joke. No. A joke sounds like just having like a funny moment because it's just like a little like side cracks like little
I,
quip for Mirage to go like, oh, that makes sense, and then just
no,
forget about
A
it.
really
think
stupid joke.
It
I
is,
think
but
it's I
still.
think it's I think it's just saying that like she's like the Maxwells were here for a long time, so they're from the past and from the future. I think that's all that means. Um,
This is what I mean.
yeah,
Airazor needs to stop saying vague shit.
yeah. I mean, there's like a lot of lines with the Maximals, especially. I mean, Cheetor and Rhinox get like 2 lines, I think, between them. I don't think I've heard like I don't think Rhinox spoke in this movie at all.
He
Um,
didn't.
no, he didn't. All his
He
lines were
says something
cut,
about
which is very funny. Why are they in the
Um,
movie, guys? Like, why
because
even
they
bother?
have to
If you're
have
gonna
their
cut it
beef
out,
wars.
it-
but I mean, I think they're in the movie because I guess they're like I guess this is my speculation, but like they had an Optimus movie. I think I remember hearing about like, oh, they're doing some buddy cop Bumblebee Optimus movie. Then they had a Beast Wars movie, and they were like, and then they had some ideas for like a Transformers 7, and they were like, let's merge them together and move
Drop the
forward in
buddy
that.
cop.
I mean,
yeah,
it's as
Bumblebee
much.
would have died in the first 5 minutes. It would have been hilarious.
Yeah, I mean, they were
It's
saying
a
like there was like a
deconstruction
lethal
of the buddy
weapon.
cop genre.
It's like they were talking about it like a lethal weapon, and I guess the lethal part probably is the most important part of that.
Oh,
Um, um, I don't know. I mean, like here's the next movie that's supposed to come out is Transformers One, and I'm far more interested in that than I am for anything in this series so far. So yeah, yeah. Is it maybe like part of me is like wondering like whether or not like am I just too like of a purist or whatever, just like no Autobots, Decepticons here, Unicron like towards like later on, and then and then the G1 IDW timeline events in my head is like how it should go, and like I personally think it makes sense in terms of like escalating threats and like expanding the world, but I don't know, maybe it's just like I need to be open-minded and be like, you know what, like this is another take on Transformers, and maybe this time they're gonna do Unicron earlier and then Megatron later, and like they're gonna escalate from Unicron to Megatron, and
I
maybe I don't know.
I have a note about Unicron.
Do you
Um,
now?
it's not that big, right? I
It's three
just think
pages long.
Unicron. No, it's one sentence. But the note will be more than that's just the note. That I will speak in more than one sentence. Anyway, Unicron. What makes Unicron work normally? It's not Unicron himself. That's the hint. It's uh, it's the fact that it creates an interesting scenario for the good guy characters, right? Because
Mhm.
they have, well, the good guys and the bad guys, the Autobots and Decepticons, because they have to put aside their differences and be like, okay, and that affects their relationship in the moment. It's like, do we trust the Decepticons? Does Prime trust them? Because not every Autobot might. There's a lot of interesting character dynamics there, right?
Yeah.
That come from that shaky alliance. The Maximals and the Autobots is not a
And
shaky alliance. It's pretty solid, actually. Or like past that initial first scene where they're like, "Ah, stand down" and stuff, and like stranger
yeah.
danger. Ah. It's like
Maybe
it's a pretty solid alliance.
I
So
mean
it just doesn't create the same interesting character dynamics as
my
like.
yeah. I mean my thing was just like Unicron's not dead, right? So later on they're gonna introduce the Decepticons, and then they're gonna do that there, like when they've introduced them in like a sequel, right? Like again, like Cable Jr. was like talking about how Stephen Cable Jr. was talking about how you know the they're like he's been like interested in like exploring colony worlds, and like if you're exploring colony worlds, I feel like part of that might implicate Decepticons like being, because like they like their whole thing is conquering the universe. So, maybe that's there. The thing is, like, and it's something that still frustrates me. I'm glad that the next year the movie that's going to actually address this question is going to come out. But like the thing that always gets to me is when a Transformers story never fucking explains why the Autobots and Decepticons actually are fighting. They haven't done it in this series. They've alluded to it somewhat, like with like lines about Autobot resistance and Autobot rebels and all that stuff. But they never actually get into it, and it's like the thing that frustrates me because it's like you can't expect people to care about a conflict if they don't know what distinguishes the two sides, and it's the thing that I dislike about like the Bay movies is that they hint at, they go like, oh, it's the Allspark, but like it doesn't get any deeper than that, and it's like the Allspark's destroyed, okay, what's next, and so I'm still waiting for like what the explanation is for why these two sides are fighting. In general, I don't care about plot holes. Like,
Yeah.
like plot holes are like lower tier things that in terms of how much I care about them. I care about like the overall like narrative, and so like when I don't like the maximal how the maximals are used, at least in this movie, and they're not really useful. It's not because like you can pull them out of the movie, because you could do that with anything. It's that they don't contribute to the core story, which is Optimus and Noah. Optimus Primal kind of does, and I think that's interesting, but they don't elaborate on it. And there's a lot of things that I feel just like the pacing of this movie is too fast, especially in that middle act. I still
Yeah.
in like and I think that if that was fixed, I feel like I would have enjoyed the final act where Optimus and Noah are coming together to fight Scourge, which I think is cool. In like, I thought it was cool, like in its isolation, being like, if they had done that well, then that would have worked. But the one thing that I felt was missing from this movie was in the climax where Noah is about to shoot the key and was like, okay, I'm gonna shoot it. They barely do anything with like that conflict gets resolved very quickly, and I feel like they need to add a lot more to it. They need to add like more like build up and release from the tension that you build up, right? And they didn't
Mm.
really do that. There should have been like Optimus and Noah really getting at each other, and then that's when the moment of clarity comes in, and then you have because I like the moment where Optimus is like, on our planet we had a saying, is like till all are one, and it's like was come together. And I thought that was a cool moment and a cool use of Till All Are One, like a modern use of Till All Are One that's not Megatron's fascistic army, Um, but I think that there's just things missing from the movie, and I think it could have been a much stronger story.
Yes.
I agree. However, I got a follow from somebody called I follow if you can burp. So while that was an excellent point, I make a quick aside here. Can anybody please burp the stream?
Burp the stream.
Can someone just do a burp?
I'm trying to.
Thank you.
Uh,
But why?
I
don't know.
out of
I
all
mean,
the people in this VC, I would have expected to come from Rue, not you. But there you go. So there you go. I felt if you can burp was a burp. Not me personally, but it's on the stream, so hope that counts because I can't burp. Like I'm not a burper. Anyway, back to the movie now. We're discussing. Back to the movie.
yeah. Uh, yeah.
I'm done talking about this movie.
What else is there to really
I'm
talk about? We're not more
I don't
like.
know. We've exhausted everything.
Like,
yeah.
So can we talk about what's not in the movie? Because that, I really want
There's
to
no
talk about.
scene in
oh
there's no sex
yeah.
scene. I was promised a sex scene.
So,
So,
no, you go, Adam.
yeah,
You go.
all I know, I haven't actually looked into it because I've been saving it till the stream. But all I know that they cut from the movie was the transit scene, which I'm still upset about, and apparently a romance between Wheeljack and RC, which I don't know how I feel about that.
It's awful. That's what it is.
At least it would have given them something to do.
I mean, it depends on how that's executed, but yeah.
They obviously
know.
didn't like it very much.
I mean, the end of the movie, I think I saw was going to be very different. It was something like Optimus. Like I think Stephen Cable Jr. talked about it. It was like that Optimus would have what he would have been in space at the end of the movie instead of when he was talking about sacrificing himself, he would have actually done that, right?
Yeah, there would
And
have been actual
Mhm.
consequences to that.
Yeah. There was
Paper's fucking thing where he's like, Primal runs away after saying that he sacrificed
Yeah.
himself, and then notices that he's fine, and he runs back. He's like, oh shit.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I felt like, did you hear what they did with Ant-Man 3, where they changed the ending as well for some reason?
They did.
They were meant to
Yeah.
be stuck in the quantum realm, and that would have been interesting, but of course not. That's obviously the same thing they did here for some reason.
I haven't even seen
Yeah.
Quantumania, but okay.
Well,
Spoilers! Oh my god! I don't give a shit.
I mean, they were gonna have more mentions of Bumblebee. They were gonna have I think a Polaroid of Bumblebee and Charlie in the movie.
Oh, come
Did
on!
Bumblebee take
Come on,
that?
that would have meant the world to me.
That would've been
Did Bumblebee
awesome.
take that?
She no, it's she. So this is the quote is that she took this selfie of the two of them together with a Polaroid camera, and and that's in the deleted scenes. There's there's probably like a ton of delete. This movie reeks of something that where this like half of it is like on the cutting room floor, and it's like
And it's
Yeah.
so
because of
frustrating. I'm so tired. I'm just tired of that happening. And it happens with every movie I know. And sometimes it's for the best. But like you see something like this, and like I like even reading like what would have been in the transit scene. I think just that's like one very small example. I'm not saying they would have fixed the whole thing for me, but like it's just stuff in there that actually just leaves like an impression on you. Because otherwise, it's just a movie that doesn't. Like I said before, last
Yeah.
stream, it just leaves you with no lasting anything. Like you don't think about it. It's just is what it is. Like actually, I was thinking about it. I was thinking about fucking GI Joe, and how much I don't like GI Joe. I don't want them to be in these movies, which is not really what I want to think about it from a Transformers movie. And I'm not even like when I come out of a Bayverse movie in like the first three, it's like wow, cool robot action. I like seeing things explode. That was fun, but it's just like and I think early on in the stream, I realized why that was the case. And because like I mentioned like last time I was like very unsure as to why I didn't feel anything. You know, this being like a brilliant brand new beginning and all that. It's because like I'm not a Beast Wars guy. And so they're like, hey, we're doing a new Transformers movie. Here's Maximals. I'm like, oh, okay. I would have kind of preferred you to like just reboot Transformers and just do the
Yeah.
Transformers thing right as it is.
Mhm.
Do the
A separate
whole
Beast Wars movie would have been awesome,
even
but
that
oh well.
or combination thing like they did now. I don't give a shit. Like movie later, like next movie or something. But like I just want them to get the actual Transformers bit down because like as much as we
Yeah.
all loved '07 and we loved the opening of Bumblebee, well, '07 is like, it's got like fucking, it's all goofiness and shit. And it's not really like, what fans, especially at the time, we look back at it now because we're like for a different generation. But like fans at the time were like, this is not Transformers, blah 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 blah, and makes complete sense in a way. Like, it isn't what Transformers is capable of being. And like, you know, opening Bumblebee shows us what it can be. And now we're just going straight, like we're going like 5 steps in the future. Well, I just wish they just nailed the original concept of Transformers and did that right, and then you can do that because
Mm.
I haven't really gotten that yet to the extent I think honestly most people, if not all of us, would really want.
And they
But I
can't do it now because they've backed
because
too
now we have
far
GI
out.
fucking Joe. Also, what's you got? We're gonna have GI Joe now.
Well,
They just
Hang
keep
I
on.
feel like
stretching it. It's just like,
I
sorry,
feel like I feel like GI Joe is like the scapegoat for like a lot of like to me there's a lot of the DNA of this movie is like fucking a lot of the DNA of this movie is a Bay movie, and so my one of the big frustrations is that this isn't yet another like historical MacGuffin movie that like you're finding, and it's like you could tell like a completely different story. Why are you resorting to this?
that's also
Um,
true with me as well. I think
and
because of how
and
close
if
it was to the
yeah
Bayverse like style. Yeah,
yeah I mean, they do need to. I agree. Like, I think like after Bumblebee, they should have just like committed to reboot, but it's really annoying that I wish they would just like say reboot, but like they even when they've said it, they've been kind of cagey about it, and and it doesn't make sense that in this movie, obviously, where Unicron is a separate being from Earth, right? But like obviously you could write that back into if they wanted to, but it just seems like I wish they committed to reboot. And like if they do things differently in a reboot, I'm like okay, but I mean like look, the movie in my head is like it's kind of like that of this movie, a version of this movie that I would like and like would fit what I have in my head is basically instead of let's say instead of the Maximals, you have the Dinobots, and you have Shockwave instead of Scourge and his Terracons, and maybe he has like experiments, Predacon experiments, in lieu of that army, whatever. And that like, but like you would explain that in a way is that like, the Dinobots were here. Like this is from like the Marvel comics. They were like trapped in like they were activated early and they like fought Shockwave. Or it's in both the IDW and the Marvel comics, but the IDW version probably fits more where they like were against Prime's orders. Grimlock and the Dynamos go chase after Shockwave. Shockwave arrives on Earth. He's planting he's like planting the seeds of like Energon basically into like in a prehistoric Earth. And then Grimlock and them they fight and then they all get trapped in like tar or whatever until they're awoken like many years later. It's like if you did that and then instead of like having the Unicron thing, it's a space bridge that's gonna bring in like the fucking Nemesis. And like at the very end of this movie, the Nemesis is what comes through, but the rest of the army's still back on Cybertron. And then now you have Megatron on Earth with Optimus. I don't know, like to me, there's like a way to there are I don't know, and instead of like the and like you could still do like you could still have it be set in Peru and all that. You could just be like they're building a space bridge in Peru. And I don't know. I think the Maximals overstuff the movie significantly. They don't get much to do. Even in their fight scenes at the end, their beast modes are not utilized in such a way where it's like, well, they have an advantage over the Terracons or even the Autobots. It's like it's very like similar to stuff like TFP where it's just like it's kind of like the ending of TFP where it's like they're using all the not the end of TFP but the end of the second season where it's like they go to Cybertron in this big like wasteland of nothingness and they're just fighting and it's like that's fine like and again the story builds up so that makes up for it being kind of like a wasteland but yeah I'm rambling but
You're right.
that I think of it um
You're right. It's fine.
I should say, I've only mentioned negative things in the stream, really, and that's because I didn't realize we were doing a part two. So like at the end of the last stream, I just kind of threw out like all of my positives at the end, like quick fire, um, like at the end. So I chat. I don't want to make it seem like I just want to clarify. I don't want to make it seem like I completely hate this movie. Like I never enjoyed anything. Uh, it's just mostly all in part one as well. I realized that halfway through. I was like, shit. I gotta mention that.
yeah
There's no saving
um
you've ruined your reputation forever.
Yeah. I have a
uh,
couple more things wrote down on my notes, but like a lot of them are like deleted scene stuff, which was probably explained in a deleted scene and then it got deleted. Um, like how did the Terracons get their vehicle mode? Like or like choose them?
mhm.
They all seem to be like in the same like modified style, so I imagine they went to a shop to get it or whatever.
A
Probably
shop.
killed a couple of humans, like a chop shop or whatever.
No, I thought you just meant the vehicle mode store.
They
No,
go
like they didn't buy the vehicles. Like they just went to like a chop shop and scanned them or
Yeah.
whatever. Um,
No, that's funny. I imagine they just bought cars.
you know, Eraser implies something could have killed the Maximals on Earth because she's like, I think I'm the only one. But like, what?
I
What could have
think
killed the
it's
Maximals on Earth?
Transit.
I think no, I think I thought that was no, I thought that was like uh that was just in reference to the Maximal Planet at the beginning of the movie. Um
But then
if
she
you're
hopped
like
on the
curious
same
about the
ship with
deleted
everyone
scenes,
else, so I don't think
yeah,
so.
I don't know. If you're curious
In
about
the
deleted scenes,
crash.
no, I
Alright, yeah,
think
you go on.
I think all the Maximals died on like their Maximal Planet at the very beginning, like Ape Link and all that shit. And they were all being
What is it,
killed with the
Abe
Scourge.
Lincoln?
Abe
I
Lincoln.
No,
thought I heard Abe Lincoln, not Abe
Ape Link is
Links.
so funny. I can't believe
Abraham
Ape Link
Lincoln
made it
died
into
on
the
the
movie,
Maximal
and I'm not even complaining. I just find that
any
really funny that Ape Link
and
of all people made it in.
Yeah.
anyways, if you're curious about deleted scenes, Sixo, who's cool, he has a video that's called like Countdown 12 Deleted Scenes, and that's where like this like comes from. And there's probably posts about it as well. But yeah, uh, yeah. That was Rise of the Beasts. It was
It was a film.
Yeah.
yeah. Oh,
As Martin
and
Scorsese would say, that in my mind is cinema.
look, if you want a movie to avoid watching The Flash, then this is a good. I think
This
it's
is yeah.
a good
Yeah,
This will
film.
that's
do
true.
that fine.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah, I'm
So
seeing it a third time in place of seeing the Flash, and I'm not kidding.
Oh my
yeah, oh
god.
yeah. Comedy Cam also did a good video as well. Um,
Um, yeah. Do I have anything else? Yes, I do. But like, it's really small things. Like, Primal's like, I'm gonna kill. I'm just gonna quick fire him. Okay, get him
Oh,
out
yeah.
there. Primal
yeah.
versus Scourge never happened. Primal's like, I'm gonna kill you with my bare hands, and then he never touches him once.
Yeah, a
Uh,
team up at the end would have been cool with Optimus and Optimus. Why didn't they do
Yeah.
that?
yeah.
Like, what the
Um,
Maximals fucking suck, dude. They just sorry. Anyway.
Yeah, I've got Battle Trap plastic quality written down, and what I mean by that is he seems untouchable in the beginning, and then he just crumbles at the end.
Um,
Uh,
Um,
can I just say, I thought like Rat Trap is like my favorite Beast Wars character, and it's not because he's like a good character. I just think Rat Trap as a concept is really funny.
yeah, he's a
Um,
giant rat.
yeah, and I was really hoping he was going to be in the movie in some capacity. Like me, I would have like I would have hated it, but I would have loved it if they played it completely straight at the start, where instead of Ape Link, it's Rat Trap who does the noble sacrifice, and just like fucking Scourge just kills a giant rat.
the they had a poster when this was like or like a thing that they had out there where it had like a bunch of like stone things and it was basically like the Beast Wars season 1 cast. So you had so and Rat Trap was one of those. And like and also there was like Tarantulas, Megatron, Beast Wars Megatron, Dinobot and all of them on there as well. And it's like none of the like I think one I think like the Predacons are just the like drones of Unicron at the very end, and that's it. So which like look, this is not my favorite take on the Maximals, at all. Uh, but like, I mean, I don't know. I'm a huge Beast Wars fan. I love the show. I think it's top three of like it switches with G1 and animated a lot. Um, and I think that they didn't utilize them well here.
Hmm.
I think, and I don't think they needed to be in the movie. I think that, and part of it is, I think that they work not as one of the things that made the original Beast Wars work was that it wasn't like it was like the next generation of Transformers, right? It was like you have
Hmm.
like your you have your first you have your like original version, you have the Autobots, Decepticons, Autobots win, and like that whole thing, that whole history of the G1 show informs the Beast Wars show. And
Yeah.
what and it's like and that's why like I don't want to again. I don't want to bring up people who aren't here, but like when we talk about talking to a wine about it, we have like we disagree about like I prefer the Maximals and Predacons being the future descendants and all that, and he prefers them being the colony, and this combines them both. And
Ew,
It
the
doesn't work.
colony. Ew, cringe. Sorry,
and
it's like so shit.
that was
Sorry.
the most visceral reaction to
Yeah.
that.
I hate that. It's so lame. Sorry. Sorry. I just can't. I
And
can't. That was not on purpose.
he's like
We're gonna have to have a chat with
well,
Owen later.
have
It's
Loki
just a
into the
planet
yeah
of fucking
yeah.
animal transformers. Fuck off. That shit's so lame.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Sorry.
anyways, oh, anyway, I don't know how to follow that up with, but like I prefer the paradigm shift. I think that's a huge appeal of Beast Wars is that like
Mm.
I think of my favorite scenes, and it's not just because it's like G1 wanking and all that. It's not about that. It was like you have like there's a scene that I really like in Beast Wars where it's like Tigatron. He's like, I'm being going pacifist. I can't be involved with like this turf war between Maximals and Predacons here. And Dinobot's like giving him a real talking to, and he's like, Autobots and Decepticons have it like the conflict between both sides have been eternal since Autobots and Decepticons, between freedom and conquest. And he goes on to this whole speech, and it's like that informed so much. That like previous connection informed so much of what made Beast Wars great. That and like just having Optimus Primal here and Optimus Prime here is not only confusing for like the general audience, but is also just like really like it's not I don't think it satisfies many Beast Wars fans, but maybe it does. I don't know. I think the Maximals look cool at the very least, but as far as story, I don't think it satisfies that like portion of it at all. I feel like it's still like the Beast Wars stuff. I haven't read the IDW comics either of the Beast Wars thing, but like um I it doesn't sound like they're too great.
I heard they're really
But
good.
Wait,
Yeah,
wait,
no,
are we
no,
talking about
IDW
IDW
two
one
Beast
or the
Wars.
new one? Which
the
one?
like no, the IDW like Beast Wars comics that was like separate, like that they
Yeah.
made later. It wasn't
The
part of
one
any
with
continuity.
Oh no, that one was awesome. No, I thought. Sorry, I
Yeah.
meant you were talking about the colonies again. No,
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 no.
no,
This
no, no.
Maximal
Yeah,
Colony is like your trigger word.
it's so shit. It's such a shit idea. I hate it.
Dude,
Sorry.
I
yeah.
mean, look, even as somebody who just can't get can't get by the premise of like beast transformers, it's just too weird for me, too out there. Like, I definitely see what you mean, and like I see the appeal of it, but I don't see the appeal of it here
Yeah,
in this
that's what I'm
movie.
saying. Yeah.
Yeah, like it's even
The
clearer for me, like from an outside fan perspective of Beast Wars.
the
Yeah.
lack of a reason as to why they needed to be animals, I think, kind of capped it as well. Like
Yeah,
I think was it Paper that said that there is no reason for them to be animal. No, as a huge Beast Wars fan, again, I really would have preferred them not be in the movie at all. I
yeah.
legitimately didn't. I told Dan this. I didn't know. I didn't see from any of the trailers that they were going to transform. So I was genuinely convinced after Air Razor died that they're going to be in beast mode the whole time. Like
Why do they
like
transform?
genuinely.
They
Yeah.
they don't provide a reason for them to be animals, and then they don't provide them a reason to transform either. They just kind of
Because
Like,
they're from the
do.
future or
yeah.
something. Don't worry
That
about it. Don't worry
that
about
one
The
it. It's
implication
fine.
is that they're
that
just like that. Like that's just how they are,
Like,
and
why
just
did they
it's
choose to be
and it's
robot
like
mode
I
suddenly?
guess
It's very strange.
whatever. Uh, but like the trailers they spoiled a lot in the trailers, like
It
especially
did,
the like
yeah.
you know like Bumblebee's
yeah.
death. Like I knew like when I saw that though, as much as I like have praised it as like a story choice, they spoiled that in the trailers. I know like the big shot of
Him
like the
dropping
second
out of
trailer is him
stratosphere.
jumping out of the plane. I know he's gonna jump out of the plane at the end of the movie. You
Yeah.
aren't fooling me. Like
Yeah, that's how I knew
and
he wasn't
so
dead.
and they're talking about how like they're gonna release the movie like in July digitally and whatever. And I'm like, you already did. It's all in the trailers, But because they had so many TV spots just showing some of the coolest stuff, and it's like
They did like nothing for like the
and
longest time,
it's
and
like
then
this
they
is
like
crazy. Like you leave some
overcompensated at the end.
Yeah.
surprises, and that's
Yeah,
the trailer
yeah.
people, and they're separate from the people who make the movie, I believe. So like but it's just like man, they showed a lot, and maybe I don't know if it's because they didn't have much to work with, like in terms of like hey like how do we promote this movie, or is just like because some movies are just hard to market, but like still I guess that's why they delayed it for so long, because it's like if we do like this campaign we're gonna end up showing most of the movie, and so they just like try to like get like a second trailer as close to like release date as possible so it has maximum impact, and then just like keep going. um
Mm.
when Primal went like beast, like they when he said like maximize, it was like there was something about it, right, where it's like I was fine with like Talal one. I like some of the movie references and stuff like that here, or like the movie references there. But when he
He
said
has never
maximize, it
said
was
that
just
in
like
hype.
really empty to me for some
He
reason,
has
and
never
it
It
wasn't
said
as
didn't.
that
hype as I
twice in
wished
his
it
It
was.
was.
damn
It
life.
was meant to
um
be like a whole like. Oh, you said the
yeah.
fucking thing that you remember, but like,
uh
I don't care.
they mentioned Primus in this movie. I thought that's that was that
A little,
happened.
little cute.
You
A
know.
little cute. Like, oh,
Uh
nice reference. At least cute little
um
reference.
but yeah.
They did do one thing with the Maximals I liked, and just going back to like not knowing that they were going to transform in like the show, Russell. You remember like what? Hello.
Hello?
Yeah. Hello. What's up?
What? Sorry, you said is anyone talking?
I'm
What?
confused.
Okay.
What's
I,
happening?
I think
Anyway,
we're
carry on.
fine. Come on.
Yeah.
I think we're
Okay,
fine.
you confused me. Jesus.
Yeah.
In Beast Wars, they justify the reason for them to be stupid, awful-looking CGI animals because of the energon radiation.
Yeah,
So
and I
like they can
appreciate
only
them
be in robot
explaining
mode.
it. Yeah, I appreciate
Yeah,
them trying to explain it at least, even as somebody that doesn't really jive with that series.
yeah. It's like it makes the robot modes feel like one of my friends described it as like a power-up, which is like it's really cool. Like I'm glad they dropped it eventually because it got old, but I love that idea. In this one, they kind of did that, but there wasn't a reason for it.
Yeah.
Like why do they not like the fact that they were still in monkey mode like all the way up until the end of the movie was like why? It looks so dumb. Like next to like, Optimus Prime walking to this giant fucking monkey, I was like, what?
Like-
Why?
Like this, like Optimus Primal, like they're all okay. Almost all of their robot modes are really, really good. I think, Cheetor has a mouth in a weird place, and I don't like that. But like even when he because I thought he had like a mask on, and he doesn't. He has like the bottom part of it. It's like the bottom part of his jaw is there. But like okay, putting that aside, I think the Maximals have like amazing designs, but but like I don't, and I'm not a big fan of their like beast modes as much because they're kind of like weird segmented. Like it's like this weird like Primal has like patches of fur on his shoulders, but not throughout like the entire body,
Mm.
which is just like really weird and inconsistent. But yeah,
Yeah.
um,
The one something one of my other friends brought up as well was like in the designs in the Beast Wars show when they transform they have different colors so they look distinct from when they like it
Yeah.
like Primal and Cheetor have like their
The
limbs
blue.
are a completely different color and it looks so cool. In this movie their robot modes are exactly the same flat color as when they're in robot mode, so in alt mode. So like you can't distinguish. I mean, I couldn't even fucking see Cheetor or Rhinox. I don't think they stood still
yeah,
for 5 seconds. But like, yeah, they look identical, and that kind of annoyed the hell out of me. Like, I didn't like that.
yeah.
I like their designs absolutely, but I just think some color breakup would have been nice. But again, who cares? They don't care. No one
Do you
cares.
think
Whatever. It's
Rewind
fine.
liked Cheetor because he was orange all over?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Orange or
Anyway,
furry.
But Cheetor's a yellow.
anyway,
Daniel, do you
Um,
like Fortnite?
we love Fortnite in this household.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
love Fortnite in this
I think
household.
Yeah.
we've exhausted
We are,
this film at
yeah,
this point.
we
Never talk about it again.
we've spoken a
Suspect.
lot about this movie. We've,
Please, we haven't
we've
even talked about the soundtrack.
No.
The soundtrack is good.
please. It's fine. Jablonski came
Very
back and it
much.
got better. We're done. All right. We've talked about this movie for about like 3 hours now. It's longer than the movie itself. Okay. By like what?
Dude,
A whole last hour.
Mola is we're not even like a quarter of a way through a Mola stream. Like, come on.
But
Yeah.
Daniel, please put that picture on the screen.
okay, let's see what image you put. I don't know. Let's.
We haven't even talked about uh
Okay, I'll do it for you. Hang on.
Healthcare.
the voice
Healthcare.
acting.
Healthcare.
Healthcare.
Well,
Healthcare?
that's the whole.
Okay, we need to talk about the current state of United States healthcare.
Well, the
It's very
1994
abrupt, but I gotta
state of
go eat,
healthcare.
guys. So,
Oh,
Yeah.
see
Hi,
ya.
Zero.
virus.
Sorry. Signing off.
Okay.
Let's see.
Signing
Um,
off?
Bye bye.
Signing off?
Wait,
Bye,
wait.
guys.
Do your
Copy
outro.
that.
Do your outro.
Copy
Oh,
that.
this is Ruzy Z. Follow me on Twitter. Bye.
What the
Simple
fuck?
gear
Let's
good.
go.
I was gonna very quickly talk about something that
Oh my god,
someone pointed
okay.
out on Twitter. This is the last thing I want to say about this movie, but I just think it's very ironic. Because you know how loads of people talk about how the Michael Bay movies are like military propaganda.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
This movie ends with Noah joining GI Joe or whatever, and GI Joe say to him, "We will take care of your brother's healthcare and stuff like that." And it's going to be like, "Oh, I guess I'll join GI Joe because they have really good healthcare." Um, Not for any other reason. I'll just join because they have good
No.
health. Yeah.
No, well,
Anyway, my point is, in Michael Bay's latest movie Ambulance, there is a whole scene dedicated to them talking about why the United States military's healthcare fucking sucks, and I think it's like super ironic that like
well,
these movies that have been labeled as military propaganda are by a director who's like, no, the military is shit,
no,
and the
well,
movie that isn't has the military idealization.
no, I would disagree with that because at the end of the movie, I don't know if Noah even joins GI Joe, and I would also say that
He's
like
the
because
new Drew,
he talked
clearly.
about it. He talked about it. Like the director talked about this as well. He said like that was meant to just be like the reality. He was also just gonna get it anyway. It wasn't dependent on that whether he joined or not. But okay, that's the last note on this movie.
That's it. We're done.
So
We're done. No more Transformers. It's
we
over.
lock the box.
Transformers is done. We're done for another like 6
There's
years when
no
they
no
figure
more
out this crossover movie or something.
no more Transformers ever again.
Or the
No, we're
animated
done.
one next
We're
year.
done. That's it. It's dead. Thank you for joining. Thank you for joining, chat. This has been an
This will
emotional
not be the
journey.
Fortnite stream.
This is not the Fortnite stream. This has been an emotional journey. Um, I really don't know how to sign us off. I will stream eventually with a game, probably like Metal Gear or something. If Brew is here, she'd be like, "Yeah, do Metal Gear. Come on, Daniel." No,
Who
when
doesn't
when
talk like that?
quiet you. No, we're not doing another one of these when the scenes come out. If you want to hear our opinions, look at our Twitters.
Yeah.
Adam will post like a funny picture of a dog. Paper will cry on like YouTube. Russell will have a really smart comment in Discord, and I'll be like Lamau or something. There you go. That's our discussion on
Yeah.
that. But
Cool,
anyway,
right.
good fellas, any last words from the reigning people?
You go watch the new indie movie Transformers: Rise of the Beasts from A24. It's a really good movie.
Which one, like Indie, like Indiana Jones, like go watch Indiana Jones, Dial of the
Don't
Destiny,
don't
Dial
watch
of the Destiny.
Indiana Jones and the Key of the Maximals, as it's called in
Thank
some
you,
countries.
thank you, Russell.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Well, good.
Adam,
Good.
Adam.
Transit would have saved the movie. I'm just saying. None of us would have been complaining. I'm just saying. There would be no complaints.
That is true.
Emotional. Well, that's it. I'm done. You're done. We're done.
Touching.
Transformers: Rise of the
Sad,
Beasts. It
sad,
exists.
but very touching.
Shut the shut
Shut
up.
the fuck up.
Shut the
Shut
fuck
up.
up. Well,
Shut up.
you know, this movie exists, but at the end of the day, life is good on a hot dog stand. Goodbye, guys.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I hate you.